Mirror the Undead Wizard. Second Ride. Written by KX. I stand in front of the mirror, without moving. The room is quiet but not empty. It carries everything that has happened inside it. The light above hums and flickers, casting uneven shadows across the walls. It feels like time itself is unstable here, like the past still leaks into the present. The reflection holds steady. There is no hesitation in it, no confusion, just recognition. My eyes are tired, marked by long nights and longer thoughts, but they are not empty. There is something behind them now, something awake, something that refuses to fade no matter how many times it was pushed down. I take a slow breath. This is not the same person who used to stand here. The first version appears quietly in my mind, a younger figure shaped by narrow streets and constant movement, a body that learned early how to stay alert, how to read people without words, how to make decisions quickly because hesitation came with consequences. There was no room for softness in that environment. You adapted or you disappeared. The city did not teach comfort. It taught survival. Opportunities existed, but they were never clean. Every option carried weight. Every shortcut came with a hidden cost. I chose a faster route, not because it was right, but because it was available. Small exchanges, quick transactions, nothing that seemed permanent at the time. I kept it controlled. I told myself that meant I was in charge. I watched others go too far, cross lines that could not be undone. I stayed just before that edge. But control can be an illusion. Even measured choices leave residue. The real impact did not show during the day. It surfaced at night, when everything slowed down and there was no distraction left to hide behind. That is when another version of me took over. Not louder, not stronger, just different. I would sit above everything, looking out at a city that never fully sleeps. The air carried distant sounds, music, voices, fragments of life happening elsewhere. Smoke would rise, and with it, thoughts that did not belong to the streets anymore. The mind began to stretch. Patterns appeared where there were none before. Ordinary shapes turned into something symbolic. Time felt less rigid. For moments, everything made sense in a way I cannot explain. It felt like discovery, not of the world, but of something internal. That is where the shift began. The identity that followed was not built overnight. It formed slowly, piece by piece, through observation, through reflection, through moment of clarity hidden inside confusion. It was not about control over others. It was about understanding what was happening inside me. But growth does not remove struggle. It exposes it. The distance between who I was and who I was becoming created tension. That tension turned into drift. People around me began to disappear from my life in different ways. Some were taken by circumstances they could not escape. Others chose different paths that no longer aligned with mine. Silence replaced noise. And in that silence, the mirror became harder to face. There were nights when I could not recognize the person looking back. Not physically, but internally. The presence felt hollow, disconnected, like something essential had been lost along the way. I questioned everything, not in a dramatic way. Quietly, repeatedly, what direction is this going? What remains if everything else falls away? I never felt drawn to external symbols of success. I saw too clearly how easily they could replace substance. I did not want to become another version of that cycle. I was searching for something else, even if I did not yet understand what it was. The answer did not arrive as clarity. It arrived as action. One small step, almost insignificant at first. I picked up a device and recorded. The same space, the same walls, but a completely different intention. Instead of repeating patterns, I began observing them. Instead of escaping, I started expressing. At first, it felt unfamiliar. Then it became necessary. Movement replaced stillness. Creation replaced consumption. I began to see myself from the outside, not as a fixed identity, but as something evolving. There were still opposing forces inside me, one pulling backward, one pushing forward. But for the first time, the direction was not random. It was chosen. Progress was not loud. There was no sudden shift, no moment where everything changed at once. It was gradual, subtle, measured. A small group of people noticed, not because of spectacle, but because of honesty. That mattered more than numbers. There was no need to perform. What I was creating reflected exactly where I stood. I leaned closer to the mirror again. The past is still visible. It does not disappear. It does not need to. Every mark, every experience remains part of the structure, but it no longer defines the direction. The difference is in the eyes. There's awareness now. The environment that once felt chaotic begins to make sense when viewed from a distance. Every sound, every moment, every decision contributed to something larger than I understood at the time. Nothing was wasted. I still return to those same streets occasionally, not out of habit, but out of clarity. I see them differently now. I understand the patterns, the cycles, the choices being made in real time. I do not interfere. I do not explain. Presence is enough. Change does not require announcement. It requires consistency. I place my hand against the mirror. The surface is cold but steady. It does not shift. It does not distort. It reflects exactly what stands before it. And for the first time, that reflection feels aligned. There is no separation between versions anymore, only progression. The path ahead is not fully visible. It does not need to be. What matters is movement, direction, intention. There is more to build, more to understand, more to express. The sense of limitation that once existed is no longer fixed. It is being replaced by something slower, stronger, more deliberate. Growth that does not rush. The reflection remains still, not empty, not broken, present, and that presence is enough to continue.